last topic of the day.
Yeah.
I'm going to preview this. We mentioned it earlier in the show.
Yeah.
Over 1,700 votes between the chat and our YouTube community page.
Yeah.
So we have a large enough sample size to give a really quality feel for how the fans
and it's
are answering this
and for the first time ever to cut you off, because you cut me off before. No, I'm kidding. There's an obvious answer now.
Yep. Well,
it
we got to ask the
debatable,
question.
but go ahead.
The question is, which of the three owners of the Cleveland professional sports teams, the Guardians, the Browns, and the Cavs, so Dan Gilbert, Paul Dolan, Jimmy Haslam, is the best owner in Cleveland right now? And to set this up, we did this 6 months ago, and overwhelmingly, I forget the exact number, but I think it was about 72% went with Jimmy Haslam.
72%.
So
now, part of that's prisoner in the moment because the Browns finally came off a good season. Jimmy Haslam has always been the worst owner in Cleveland, and I don't think it's close. But okay, go ahead.
Do you want the fan results now or at the end?
Now, we know it's got to be Dan Gilbert overwhelmingly.
I'll just give the answers.
Okay.
This is from the community. I'll give you the community tab now. I'll give you the chat at the end.
All right.
From the community tab,
84%
for Dan Gilbert, 11% for Paul Dolan, 5% for Jimmy Haslam.
Okay, that should
be
zero.
Which is a 67-ish % drop.
All right.
Surprised at all by the results?
No, guys. I don't know how anybody could disagree. Now, Dan Gilbert's the only one that's won a championship. I still would have leaned towards Dolan a little bit, maybe 5-6 years ago, because I think he, money aside, runs his organization in a smarter way than the other guys. But what Dan Gilbert has now changed, and obviously a lot of this is because of his health, that was his biggest flaw as an owner was he over-meddled, something that Jimmy Haslam does. Now, the difference, why Gilbert was always ahead of Haslam, is because Gilbert meddled and was able to win. Now, until this recent group, it was only with LeBron, but he still won, whereas Jimmy Haslam meddled and sucked. But now, Dan Gilbert, from what I've heard, he's still obviously, now that he's healthier, is involved with the team. Definitely, he's back in the power chair with the Cavs. But whether he purposely did it or not, he has backed off enough in terms of his meddling. I heard that he's a million times better than he used to be in terms of that. And he obviously is willing to spend. He hired a great coach. So, I mean, and they've had success. So, and some of that voting is all prisoner in the moment, but it's Dan Gilbert by a lot right now in my mind.
I would say the same thing. Just because he's not out in front of this as he has been in the past shouldn't make him any less worthy of
more worthy.
I mean, I give him so much credit because he he's been able to take a step back.
Yeah,
he's let the folks that he has delegated power to let them have their power. And Kobe Altman has been a home run, and we all want. I
wanted him fired a few years ago.
Totally
Kobe.
with you on that. We all did, and he has proven us all wrong. And for him, Kobe, that is to be able to run this thing back with just the new coach and to see the vision. Man, I'm blown away, and I give Dan a lot of credit for that. And Dan spends money; does not matter to Dan Gilbert.
No.
And when this team needs to, he will go above the luxury tax.
They're above it barely right now.
I think the first time I voted for Dan Gilbert, and this is obviously the right choice right now. People,
you voted for Gilbert the first time, G?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I had Haslam number 2. Now, here's the thing about the Dan Gilbert. People always say, I don't want my owner to meddle. Well, without him meddling with LeBron, we have no championship. Because he was pivotal in talking to LeBron James, swallowing his pride after what he said about him when they was burning them jerseys, and went back to him and came to him like, listen, let's get this ring, let's get the band back together. Without that situation, they have no championship. So I like him meddling in certain aspects of it, and I think any billionaire is going to be in the mix. Like we talked about it too before. Look, Al Lerner and Randy Lerner. Listen, when you had Al Lerner, his son got the job. He said, I'm hands off. We didn't like that. We just was like, well, listen, Randy, you need to be involved. You don't even care. You care about your soccer team more. So we didn't like that. I think there's a sweet spot when in terms of the ownership. To me, the only problem I be having is the Dolans, they be knowing what they be doing. Yeah, like they could win championships. Yes.
You can't guarantee, no matter how much money you spend in baseball, there's no guarantees. It's not like basketball or football where if you pay for the superstars, like it don't matter. The Yankees haven't won in forever.
You have a better percentage chance of winning.
You have a better percentage chance of getting to the playoffs.
No.
It raises your floor as a team.
But when you get into the playoffs, you playing them other good teams, you have no shot against beating those guys.
That's not true. The Guardians didn't lose to the Cubs in the World Series because the Cubs' payroll was higher.
They lost to the Yankees because of it.
Nah, I don't believe that.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
They lost to the Yankees because of that. You played your tail off. You rolled your bullpen. You did everything you could, and the Yankees still hit 2-3 home runs. That's what they do. They're like, yeah, I got Stanton. I got Judge.
Yeah,
you can't
Giancarlo
pitch. I got
Judge didn't do anything,
but
Soto did. Now he's gone.
But thank you.
Well,
That's what I'm saying. They re-up.
The problem, though, listen, we're debating second and third.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. If you talk about the problem is the thing we see as a public is the money being spent. Jimmy's willing to spend. Dolan is not. That's an edge for Jimmy, and for some people, that's all that matters. And I get it. Yes. You'd rather have an owner that spends, and the Dolans don't spend enough, which is why I used to consider them, no, I wouldn't say 6 months ago, but I used to consider them the best owners, and now I don't anymore, because it's, in when we first started here in 2011, from 2011 to 2019, they didn't spend huge, but they spent enough.
They were spending some.
But since COVID, and I'm not making that an excuse because it's not an excuse, since COVID, they don't spend at all.
And zero.
And so I've lowered them down in terms of how good they are. Now, in terms of the other ways they run their organization, hire smart people. They absolutely do that.
Okay.
Allow people to do their job. They absolutely do that. Jimmy Haslam spends, yes, but everything else about him is terrible.
I'll give you that.
He is terrible. There's nothing.
He doesn't let his people do his job.
He over-meddles. He pits guys against each other all the time. There's always dysfunction. Say what you want about the Guardians. Is there ever dysfunction there? Never.
Now let me give you.
Now let
me give you this. Let me give you this.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I don't think I'm just being devil advocate. Right.
Yeah.
You got the Haslams.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't like the outcome of the Deshaun Watson deal, but at the time, everybody liked the deal.
Not everybody, but the majority, and certainly I did.
The majority,
yes.
Because on paper, it was what it was.
Deshaun Watson before then had been significantly better quarterback than Baker Mayfield.
That blew up in their face.
Yeah.
But
yes.
they swung swung for the fences.
Yes.
This year they were 3 and something, right?
Yeah.
I said, oh, Stefanski and Barry got to go. He didn't get rid of him.
He didn't. No.
He kept Barry and Stefanski. They're gonna keep moving.
We'll find out if that was the right move.
We'll find out if that's right. So he hasn't really fired anybody like with like knee-jerk reaction. He did swing for the fences with Deshaun Watson. It didn't work. I mean, he's trying to upgrade the stadium and upgrade the atmosphere with the Browns. Like, so if
don't want to spend all his own money, which he should.
Right. Now look.
Yeah.
Now, I think that he's going to end up having to spend a lot more money of his own.
He should spend all of it.
Now, with those 3 things, I think you're right. We're right. Like, those things are things that could be seen as positive. But in general, losing is overshadowing anything that you do.
That's right. And you got to give at least a level of credit to the owner for the winning that the Guardians have done.
Yes.
The Guardians, in terms of success on the field, have been a much better organization than the Browns.
And they
not even close.
Dustin just went to the World Series. So I can't, not World Series, but ALCS. I can't hate on that. Like, you got to.
But I don't think there's any doubt right now that Dan Gilbert's the best owner in town.
How could there be
no way
any
to debate
other
that.
argument?
No, there is no other argument right now. And I think him getting a really good team for the first time without LeBron kind of pushed that over the top. And the fact that he was patient with a GM when he's never really been patient before.
Because no one's ever given Dan Gilbert credit for anything other than being able to get LeBron to come back.
That's
right. But that's it. I mean, they basically said, hey, you got lucky. Best player in the world happened to live 20 minutes and was born 20 minutes from where you play.
I don't even think we give him credit for that because it's like, I know I felt it was like, well, he came back in spite of you.
Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't because of you.
The team was set up.
Yeah.
And the team really got lucky with all them first round picks.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and the fact that the Baron Davis pick turned into
Right.
a Wiggins.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yes.
well, some people will say he did lose Kyrie. Well,
Well, at the end, he did. That was those couple of years at the end of LeBron there were some mistakes made, but they bounced back in a big time way.
Yeah.
There's no denying that. Go ahead, Mike.
We got some super chats to wrap up today's show. The chat also agreed with you guys. 80% for Dan Gilbert as the number one owner. Haslam in third place after being in first place when we did this about 6 months ago.